This is the SIP Tigren 120 amp MIG welder. When you buy it, it does say it's a stick and TIG welder as well, but you have to buy the lead and torch separately for them. So in this video, I'm just going to be reviewing it as a MIG welder. First of all, I want to give you a quick overview of it. It was about £130, which puts it at the bottom of the MIG welder market. So it's small, it's cheap, and that can be a worrying thing when you're looking to spend around £120 to £130. It makes you think, is it any good? And I've been using this for the past 3 months, and this is what I've found. I'll go over the bad points first, because if there's anything that rules it out, there's no point watching the rest of the video. I just hope that if you do leave, you hit the like button on the way out. Now for me personally, it's actually quite difficult to find some bad things about this machine. It isn't as powerful as other machines, 120 amps. You can look at some at 200, 250 and even more as you want a more powerful welder. However, I found I haven't actually needed anything more powerful than this machine. Now the other downside is because it's a gasless MIG, I can only find mild steel wider. I can't find any stainless steel. So if you want to weld with stainless steel, it's going to rule it out as a MIG welder. Perhaps you could use it as a TIG welder.
Actually, this is wrong. You can use mild steel wire on stainless steel, but the weld will rust. You don't have the option to use stainless steel wire on stainless steel.
Now it does come with accessories. You get 200 grams of wire, you get the brush and the smashy thingy, welder hammer. It also comes with a welding mask. Now I threw mine away. It's not light reactive. I would go out and spend 30 to 60 pounds on a decent welding helmet. It will make a world of difference when you're learning to weld. And if you are buying this machine, I'm going to assume that you are probably a hobbyist or just starting to learn to weld, because this is where it really fits into the market. However, having said that, I have used this to make money. I started a marble run business and I sold enough marbles within the first 3 days to pay this machine off. So I could imagine this being used by a professional in certain situations. Now another downside about this machine is it'll only take 450 grams of wire. They do sell 900 grams, but apparently it doesn't work in there. I haven't tried it, but it won't take vast amount of wire. But again, that hasn't been a big problem for me. 450 grams of wire has lasted me about 2 days when I'm using it quite a lot. So let's look at the good points of this machine. The first thing is that it is completely gasless. You can simply put the wire in and you're ready to go. No gas shield needed, which is a really great thing. This is actually the main reason I bought this machine. I don't have a workshop, so if I want to set up in the garden, if it's a windy day, you don't get away with gas in the wind. Well, not when it comes to welders anyway. And another downside of this machine is the wire's slightly more expensive. Because you've got a flux core, because you don't use gas, it puts the price up, but then you don't have to buy the gas. So I'm not sure how that works out money-wise, but it's just something to bear in mind. Another good thing about this machine is it is incredibly light. Like something this powerful shouldn't be so small. The fact that you can just pick it up, move it around, highly portable. I can take it to one end of the garden, take it to another end of the garden, put it in the car, travel with it. It's no issue whatsoever. It doesn't take up a lot of space. And that is the reason that I've actually got rid of my old gas MIG welder and replaced it with this one. It takes up less space, it's easier to move around, it's a lot more convenient. So now I've got more space to put all the junk I have. Another positive about this machine is because it's not as powerful as some other machines, it will comfortably work on a 16 amp circuit, which more powerful welders will struggle with. You can actually damage them using them on a 16 amp circuit, and you would need a special 32 amp circuit just for your welder. Now they're the pros and cons that I've come across, but there is a feature on this machine you may or may not like, and that is that there's only really one dial on the front of this machine that controls the power. The machine automatically adjusts the speed to suit the power. I really like that because where I used MIG welders before, I need someone else to set it up for me because I don't really know what settings I need. With this, you just don't have to worry about the settings. But if you want a bit more control over the machine, this might not be great for you. I've had an issue with the shield where I got too close when welding and it melted. But it's easy enough and cheap enough to buy another one. I think you get 2 for about £10, so not a big deal. I've also got through quite a few nozzles. They're really easy to replace. They're less than £1 each. I think I bought a pack of 5 for less than £5. So again, not a big deal. You might find that sometimes it jams. In that case, just unscrew it, replace it, and then go again. And it's also worth pointing out that I've bought this with my own money. I haven't been sent it, I don't get sponsors. These are purely my views and how I found it. I've put over 2 kilograms worth of wire through here now, and all the welds were made on this machine, on and off site. I've also used it for personal projects. I made a door for my ferret hutch. It took me less than 5 hours to basically cut the metal, weld it together and paint it, and it's just allowed me to do things I just wouldn't be able to do before. So let's take a deeper look at this machine. I'm going to make some hinges for a door that I've been putting off for 2 years because I didn't know how to weld, and we're going to see how it goes. So I found this old spike which fits the hole fairly well. There's a bit of wiggle room, which means I don't have to be perfectly straight, which is great for me. That sounded wrong. So I've gone and got the welder, nice and easy to move. I actually threw away my gas MIG welder because it was taking up a lot more space, is a lot heavier, and I just never used it. This is so much more convenient. Just clip that onto there, turn it on, and I'm going through some quite thick metal, so I'm going to put it on full blast at 10, that's 120 amps. Now, one thing I will say is the mask that comes with this welder is pretty terrible. Spend 30 to 60 quid, get yourself one that reacts to the welding and automatically goes dark, especially if you're new to welding, because if you can't see what you're welding, it's really hard to weld. And also, get some welding gloves, especially if you're going to hold it in place and weld around. I certainly wouldn't recommend doing this, but it does work.
So this is 6mm plate and 16mm round bar. Now the weld won't penetrate all the way through the 6mm, I think it goes as deep as 4mm. Now it does splatter a lot of the small spots around, I'm not sure if there's anything you can do about that. But cleaning those up isn't really much of an issue.
So I actually don't have any real skill when it comes to welding, but this is going to hold. That's not going anywhere. Now, I didn't like MIG welding before because I didn't know how to know what speed and power you need to put everything at to make the weld look nice. And although my welding doesn't look great, this takes care of a lot of the worry of knowing what power you need and the speed, because it will automatically compensate. So I'm going through quite thick metal here. I think that's probably 6 to 8mm. And then obviously I've got probably a 16 round bar. If I just whack this round to 120 amps, I know it's going to come out at the correct speed, and the weld is going to look as good as the welder can make it. It's just down to me if the weld doesn't look particularly great. To clear this up, I'm just going to run over it with a sander with wood sandpaper on. I think this is 80 grit, just to clean it up a bit.
Now for me, I think it'd be easier to weld in place, and it's got my girlfriend's garden furniture underneath. So I'm putting down this sleeping bag so I don't get any of the sparks burning any of her cushions.
I've run out of wire, which is a good thing because I can show you how to redo it. It's just not the best timing. So it's really easy to change the wire. All you've got to do is pull it out with some pliers. Also going to take this bit off the front here, but leave this part on because that's the trigger that spins the motor inside. We're going to need to use that. Flip open the side, take out the old reel, we're going to very slightly loosen this and pull that down and lift that up. Oh, we're also going to need some snips. Snip off the bent end of the wire. Put the reel on, thread it into the second hole, and then clip this back into place. Once that's done, we can turn it on. And press the button on the welder. I'm going to thread the wire into the hole on, I don't know what this is called, the gun thing. Hold the trigger down till it comes out the end. Put the nozzle back on. Put the shield back on. We're ready to go. I forgot to secure the reel back on. Now we're ready to go.
I can't overstate how mobile and easy this machine is to move around. Now the leads are a bit short here, so I've managed to lift it up, move it in closer and hold it in place. This would be a lot harder to do if it was heavier and had a massive gas bottle attached to it as well.
Now the reason I've decided to weld it in place is because the wall here isn't completely flat, so if I go at 90 degrees it won't have the angle I want. So there you go, you can see that's not 90 degrees, but we know when it's on the wall that's going to be vertical now. So let's finish the weld. Okay, so this is the first one done. You can see it's not the best weld, but I'm happy with that. And where we've got the round bit of the bar, it's really filled the gap in. The MIG's really good for filling in those gaps. So this should hold really strong. I'm going to put this back on the shed and then do the same process on the other one. So I do really love how portable this machine is, especially when I've got to hold things in place to get the weird angles. If you were doing this in a workshop, you'd have to measure this, and I don't even know how you'd work the angles out. So this is my preferred method, and luckily this tool allows me to do it. That's why I just covered my girlfriend's sofa up. I should have probably covered her sleeping bag up as well, but I don't think she'll mind.
So here you can see the gap that I'm going to fill. One of the good things about using the round bar is that I can now fill this with the welding wire, and where I don't get a massively deep penetration, I can use the wire to fill the gap, which will give me a really strong connection.
So here I have like 0.5 millimeter thick metal, it's a butterfly. I'm going to see if I can put this into place. I've put the welder onto 30 amps and I'm going to see if this will hold or just melt. My money's on melting, but let's find out. Always have a pair of these handy. I've got it with my 3D printer, and it's really useful for MIG welding. Okay, so I'm pressing the button and nothing's coming out. Has this happened before? Usually because the nozzle is really dirty and clogged up. So I'm going to take the nozzle off. Yeah, that's jammed. So here is a spare nozzle. These cost about £5 for 5 of them. I have had to replace this probably 3 times, in about 2 kilos worth of wire, and it's usually because I'm too close for too long with the heat. And actually this is my second shield, but if you get too close you can melt it. I'm actually quite happy with that. It's got a few spots coming through that shouldn't be there, but it hasn't made a hole, and by the time I've painted it I'm not terribly fussed about that. Okay, so it's done. I know it's taken 2 years in the making, but actually all it actually took was a day. I just needed the right skills and the right tools, so learning how to weld has made a big difference, and finally got round to finishing a job. So in summary, what we've got is a machine that's relatively cheap, highly portable, easily usable, and fairly versatile. You can use it on jobs at home, but you can also take it onto site and use it there. And I really don't think it's expensive for what it is. It's extremely useful that it doesn't need to use gas. You don't have to keep going out and buying more. You don't have to lug it around with you. And it also means you can use it outside in the wind without any repercussions. With the only downsides that I can see is that you can't put stainless steel wire through it. And if you've got a big project, it just might not be powerful enough. Okay, I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section down below.